What's going on, y'all? We're Cars, back again with another car buyer's guide. Hope you guys are having a great day. I'm having a great day myself. Today we're going to be going over the Dodge SRT Hellcat, both the Challenger as well as the Charger, because they're kind of the same thing. I know there's some differences. Obviously, one's two-door, one's four-door, and there are other small differences in between, but they're really the same platform, and I think they should be addressed together because it's just really two different versions of the same thing. But yeah, before we get into it, quick announcements. If you haven't joined my Discord, join my Discord. As you can see, the group is growing by the day. We got 14 members in here now. Shout out to all of y'all in the Discord. What else? Oh yeah, if you haven't joined the Discord, you better join it quickly because on Monday I'm going to be announcing the winner for a $50 giveaway. So easy, $50. All you got to do is join the Discord. Just hit the link in the bio, and then yeah, we can get you in there. Okay, just making sure that was working. Cool. All right. Yep. So just join that. All you got to do is like, comment, and subscribe, as well as join the Discord, and then share one of my videos with a friend or family. Or yeah, share with a friend or family. Someone, doesn't even have to be either. Share with a random person. Just post in the group. Share it to somebody on Instagram. Oh yeah, follow me on Instagram. I'm wearing cards on Instagram. You can see my reels there. It's just a show. It's just highlights from the ad part of the show. And if you're new here, what I do is I first go over the features, options, and problems for the car. So we're going to go over what comes with the car standard. And then we're going to go over the options that you're going to look for when you are out shopping for the car. And then finally, we're going to talk about the problems with the cars, because you also have to look for those too when you're shopping as well. Some people talk about the problems in the description, so it'd be nice to know what they are talking about. So as soon as we go through all that, then we move on to looking at actual ads, and then we're going to price them out based on the packages and problems that they have, as well as the year, mileage, everything. We're going to take everything in consideration, and I'm going to show you guys how to price these accurately. Obviously, these are going to be my personal prices, and I try to be fair on the prices in terms of, you know, what the discount is. And, you know, recently, hey, shout out to Jason Black. Shout out to you, man. Or Jake. I'll give you another one, actually. Shout out to Jacob Black. My bad, bro. Always in the chat, showing support. Yeah, the Hellcat. This is my favorite muscle car, man. This is like the ultimate dream muscle car for me. I remember I got to drive one a little bit last year when I was in Miami. One of my friends had one, and he let me drive it around sometimes. And this thing, it is the most fun I've ever had driving. And I've driven some cool cars, you know, like I used to do rental cars. You know, I had a Huracan. We had a 570S. We also had, you know, a Wraith. We also had a Humvee, which is funny. We had a bunch of random cars, but the Hellcat is the most fun out of all of them. We didn't have a Hellcat as a rental, but comparatively speaking, the Hellcat is just, I don't know what about it. I think it's the fact that it's so fun and loose. That's what makes it more entertaining to drive than just like a regular supercar. Like Huracan is nice. Everything in the Huracan is really light, and it's really like, zips around, especially the rear wheel drive one. It's super light. The front end's super light. It just feels really light, and everything's easy, and it goes without any effort. Like, it feels very effortless. The Hellcat is a little bit different. You can tell the weight. You can actually feel it when you drive it. The suspension isn't like, it's not taut. It's not very hard. It's very soft, actually, for being such a high performing car. The suspension is compliant. There's a good word for it. Makes it really fun to drive. Also, the steering has a nice weight to it. It's not like an accurate sports car by any means. This is more considered to be like a GT car, comfortable on long cruises. However, I don't know how long you're going to be cruising in this car, because it does get some horrible miles to the gallon. I believe in the city, you probably average around 7 or 8. On the highway, you can probably get up to 20 if you're driving at like 50 miles an hour for 3 hours. But yeah, these cars, super bad on gas, but you don't really get these cars for the gas mileage, so we're not even going to get into that. But first, before we get into the features, options, and problems, let's hear what a Hellcat sounds like, because this is one of the most iconic parts of the car, is actually its sound. So shout out to Can Filters. They uploaded this video. Fair use, fair use. So you hear that supercharger? crazy. This is what it sounds like on the inside. It sounds so good. But I don't know if you guys can hear that, but literally my favorite part, aside from the supercharger, is that gear shift. It's just like it's so aggressive and like it sounds heavy. It's not smooth like a PDK or like any other, you know, high performance transmission. It sounds like robust, and this car is just, that's what the overall feeling of this car is. It's very, even though it is a Stellantis Chrysler product and they're not known for their build quality, it does feel like a built car. It feels solid when compared to, you know, like a Mustang. A Mustang does not feel like a Challenger in any way, shape, or form. Mustang feels kind of light and thin. I don't know how to describe it. The Challenger feels heavy and thick. If I were to use some words, I don't know how else to describe that. But you definitely have to get behind a wheel of both of those cars and see for yourself, because you'll notice a difference. That the Challenger is just soft and comfortable. The Mustang is much more like on edge. And the Camaro, I'd say, even Camaro is rated as the best steering. So I mean, even the Camaro is probably even further away than the Mustang in terms of handling. The Camaro is the best out of the three in handling. Mustang kind of is in the middle, and the Challenger, obviously. A lot of people, you know, it's a debate between the Mustang and the Challenger, but I mean the Mustang and the Camaro, but the Camaro is just always gonna win most of the time. The only time it won't win, probably in just a straight line. But anyway, let's look at a flyby, because you got to hear it on the outside too going by, and I'm sure you've heard this on the highway at some point. Yeah, supercharger just crying. All right, let's hear it one more time. I was talking. This is a red eye. It has a little bit more power. I believe it has like 807. But same thing. We're not going to look at red eyes today. We're simply going to look at Challengers and Chargers. Simply Hellcat Challengers and Chargers, just the regular ones. Actually, let me bring up the features, options, and problems. Let's get into it. We've been putting it off for long enough. So this features list isn't fully comprehensive. I just put down the stuff that I really cared about, but we can get into all the other standard features when we go through the options, because we're going to look at the brochures, which show everything in complete detail. So I promise I won't miss any of that information. But in general, we're just going to go over the 2015 to 2020 model years. I stopped at 2020 simply because I didn't want to get into the 2020s, because that's when cars, they're still kind of considered new. So you really don't have as much information in terms of their problems or just people's stories in general. Because not only do I like to consider my personal experience with a car, but it's also about everyone else's personal experiences and finding that collective theme. And so if I can't really find, I don't really want to take, you know, in simpler terms, the longer a car is out, the more valid the information is that is about it. So I try to stick with cars that are a little bit older, just so I can validate the information better, and it will lead to a video that just is more valuable in the future. You know, things won't change as much because it already has been tested and proven what I'm talking about. Anyway, so 2015 to 2020 is the span we're looking at. The Hellcat went from 2015 all the way up to the present, so we're missing some. However, the wide bodies came on the Charger and Challenger later than 2015, and they came in different years. So the wide body Challenger came first in 2018. The wide body, man, this needs to say Charger. I can't spell. The wide body Charger came in 2020. If you see a wide body Challenger that's earlier than 2018 or a wide body Charger that's earlier than 2020, it doesn't have a real wide body kit, and it is probably a rebuilt car. Another thing about these cars, we'll get into it when we look at the ads. I mean, I had to filter out so many things, especially on Facebook, because Facebook doesn't really allow you to filter out by the clean title. It's not very accurate because it's not always filled in. And then, I don't know, if you ever used Facebook to search, like, if you don't specifically search for something and you use the vehicle tools on the left-hand side of the screen, they don't make any sense and they don't work. So it's really hard to filter out dirty title cars or not clean title cars, rebuilt and salvaged. And when you're looking at these cars, especially Hellcats, especially wide bodies, I mean, you can include scat packs as well, but they're all going to be rebuilt titles. I'm telling you, like 80% of these cars, it looks like to me, are rebuilt title. And it's crazy because it's like, how did that even happen? What was Dodge just giving out these cars to people that like can't, like, the people buying these cars obviously can't handle the power. So is it a buyer's issue or is it the seller? Is it Dodge's issue? Like, did they make the car too powerful and not, it can't like handle well enough? Or is it the people? I believe it's the people, because I mean, let's just be frank. Everyone knows the stereotype of people that drive a Challenger. I'm not saying the stereotype is 100% accurate, but the stereotype exists. You'll see it all over the internet. So yeah, a lot of these are going to be salvage titles, and you'll see also, I mean, while we're on it, a lot of these are stolen too. If you're in any Facebook groups that are they're selling stolen cars or trying to move stolen vehicles, you'll see these all the time. This is like a classic Striker car. Like, I feel like Striker was made for, like, the term was invented for Chargers and Challengers, because these cars are stolen all the time. It's partly due to the fact that they're such hot boy cars. Everyone loves them so much that, you know, people, they're like in the zeitgeist of most Americans when compared to other types of cars. So people know that these cars, you know, exist and therefore steal them more. Plus, you can also say that Dodge didn't really do a good job with security, and they're not that hard to steal. There are a lot of different things people do to make the cars less stealable. However, they still get stolen every day. So if you want to get one of these, I hope you have a garage or you live in like a gated community, because yeah, these are, or you have some really good anti-theft you know, solutions, because these cars, you really need to take really good care of the security aspect of them, because yeah, they're hot cars and everyone loves to steal them. So let's get into the powertrain. This has a 6.2 liter SRT Hemi Hellcat supercharged V8, one of the best engines ever put into a production car, in my opinion. I think this is such a good engine, and obviously they agree too. They put it in the Charger, they put it in the Challenger, they put it in the Durango, they put it in the Trackhawk, kind of, you know, like variations of everything. It's crazy. Desired car in Europe, Mercedes G-Class. That is funny. I mean, they want G-Wagons here too, but these, oh, often stolen. Yeah. Oh, really? They steal a lot of G-Wagons in Europe? That's interesting. Yeah, I'm not too sure the G-Wagon security, is it that bad? I would have thought it would be better than, or at least like they would have taken the time to make it like a good system to not be stolen. Anyway, transmissions in this car, you have two choices between an 8-speed auto and a 6-speed Tremec 6060. Same transmission that's in the Mustang GT500, same transmission that's in the Camaro ZL1. SUV stolen in general. Yeah, I mean, off the top of my head, like when I think of the most stolen cars, I think of Dodge Challengers and Chargers, and I think of Kias. And Kias is because you can literally plug in a USB to the key slot and power it on, and that starts the car. But that's a whole different issue. Hey, shout out to Kia also. You guys at the Kia, like the Kia boys, the Kia fanboys, excuse me. I'm gonna add that to the list of the most annoying groups of people. We have the Porsche guys, we have the Honda guys, and now the Kia guys. All annoying for different reasons, but they are all annoying. And I'm gonna put together a list of the worst car group, the worst group of people for cars, because this is so funny. Because the breadth of vehicles I do kind of attracts people from all different groups, and I get to see, and I'm stereotyping myself. You know, stereotyping everyone myself with my own stereotypes, and I'm gonna make a video about that because I think it's pretty funny. Anyway, all cars also came with active dampening control, so you had active suspension. You could change the settings, and then they came with dual air to water intercoolers. They also came with some other stuff standard, but I just stopped here because I wanted to get to the options. So what we have here is there are 5 body styles, 5 ways you can get this car. I believe you can get a narrow body Charger, you can get a narrow body Challenger. Okay, hold on. You can get a narrow body Charger. Oh, Another thing I forgot to mention is that chargers only come in automatic. This is why I was trying to go through the combination. So a narrow body charger is going to be an auto. You can get a narrow body Challenger, which is going to be an auto or a manual. You can get a wide body Challenger, which is auto or manual, and you can get a wide body Challenger, but that's only going to be in auto. Hey, shout out to Clean Whips in the building. Shout out to Clean Whips, man. Yeah, Kia boys. Yeah, man, they got to be stopped, or do they? You know. It's crazy. Just don't buy a Kia, because or live in Milwaukee or something. Don't do both of those things. Let's see. Let's get on to the options. So I kind of didn't organize this as well as I should have, honestly, but you know, it's all good. We do it live. So first off, if I'm just going to explain how this is. If it doesn't have a year, that means it was available for all the model years we're talking about. If it has a year, that means it was available from that then on. If it has a plus, I'll say if I you know have to clarify anything, like say for example right here, this should say 2015 plus. But yeah, it's just 2015 anyway. So you connect the 8.4-inch screen plus nav, which was nice. What was nice about the Challenger Hellcat, or the Hellcat specifically, is that it actually came with an 8.4-inch screen standard. That's an upgrade from the 7-inch screen for every other trim model. You also have the high performance Laguna leather seats. You have the option for red belts, power sunroof, a black satin hood. So if you see any of these Hellcats with black hoods, it's not an aftermarket hood. That's an option from the factory. You also have an engine block heater for those who live in cold climates. Wheels as well. There are a ton of different wheel options. I believe you can get, well, we'll look at them. There are some wheel options that are exclusive to the wide body. And vice versa to the narrow body. Luxury floor mats for 2016 plus, if you want them, just thicker. You have the brake caliper color, 2018 plus. Harman Kardon audio group for the Charger 2018 plus, and then Harman Kardon audio group for the Challenger 2019 plus. What's interesting is that before this, the Harman Kardon system was standard, and so then they made it an option after that. So if you get like a 2017 if you get a 2017 Charger or a 2018 Challenger, you're going to have Harman Kardon standard, but if you get to 2019, you have to make sure that that's optioned in. You also have the power convenience group for the Charger 2018 plus. It's for the Charger only. The power convenience group, the biggest thing that it includes, we'll go over it in a second, I'll show you, but it includes 4-way power adjustable seats. If you notice on a Challenger, no matter what Challenger you get, every single one has a manual recline for the seats, and that is because they didn't want to have people being stuck back there for a long period of time while they raised an electric seat. But what I say to that is that my BMW M6, right? It had electric seats, but you know what else they included? Like a quick release that would actually disconnect the seat from the rails, and it would lift up and then come back down and connect again. I don't know why Dodge can't figure something like that out when this car is a new car. Like, figure that out, man. You don't have to be that cheap. Like, you can have power seats, you know? Like, I don't know. This is like, they seem to do that a lot with this car. It's like, we're just gonna skip out on everything except the engine, and we'll just add stuff as people complain about it, and then we'll be good. But they never added like a movable seat or like a mechanically disconnecting seat like in a BMW. But of course, that's BMW. It's a German brand. Germans over-engineer everything, so can't really complain in that regard. Wide body came on the Challenger in 2018 and on the Charger in 2020, as I mentioned before. For the Challenger, you also had the SRT spoiler option with the backup camera. This is 2019 plus. You also had the Alcantara equipment package. This is both for Charger and Challenger for 2019 plus. You have the driver assistance group 2019 plus, painted satin black graphics package 2019 plus, rear seat delete group 2019 plus. I believe this is for Challenger only. Technology package 2019 plus. You can get a dual snorkel hood on the Challenger. This is not the dual snorkel hood, but we'll look at some. That's 2020 plus. Carbon suede interior package, also 2020 plus. Driver's convenience group on the Challenger 2020 plus, and then you have the plus package 2020 plus. So actually, let's look at the brochure before we get to the problems, because I always forget the brochure. So let's just take a quick look so we can see. Oh, yeah, you can see how many tabs I have open. So here is the description of the 2015 Hellcat. This is the year it came out, so this is what they debuted it as having. So as you can see, they wrote it nicely in the first model year, and you'll see what I mean for the rest of the brochures. They really did a good job with this 2015 brochure compared to the rest of them. For the rest of them, it seemed like they just got a little bit lazy, or to be honest, wouldn't call it laziness. I would call it like the guy was like, wow, this is a lot of work, and he had to do it in the same amount of time as a regular brochure. And you'll see what I mean in a second. Especially 2017, that year was insane for Dodge. So let's see, moving on to this, we can see these are going to be the standard equipment. Why the name change from a Charger like in Bullet to Challenger nowadays? Oh, that's a good question. So basically the Charger was Dodge's, that's like the iconic car of the day, but that's not what the Challenger is based on. The Challenger is actually based on a Challenger. The Dodge Charger and the Dodge Challenger back in the day were different cars. So this is actually a Dodge Challenger. The real question is, why did they make the Charger a four-door car? So basically this is an original Dodge Challenger. This is what the new Challenger is based off of. And then and this is a Charger. So as you can see, the Charger is way more squared off. I believe it's a bigger car too. Did it ever come in a four-door? I don't think so. I think this is something else. It's like Photoshop or something. Yeah, so I don't know why they changed. Hey, shout out to you, GMC. It's been a while, man. I hope you're doing great. I'm glad you could make it. But yeah, the Charger, I don't know why they changed the Charger to a four-door car. I believe they were just playing on the hype of the name and wanted to revive such a popular icon. And then once they realized that they were successful with that, they were like, oh man, well, we have to release a coupe version of this. What do we call it? Oh, there was also a Challenger at the time. Yeah, we'll call it that, and we'll have them side by side like they were back in the day, except now one is a sedan. I can't tell you why they decided to call the new Charger a Charger instead of like an Intrepid or something. I guess an Intrepid would have sounded kind of lame compared to a Charger, so they wanted something that sounded cool. But yeah, let's get back to these options. As we can see, it comes with these SRT wheels in matte black. These are popular wheels. You'll see them a lot. Has the aluminum hood with center air intake, bifunctional HIDs, auto high beam, blah, blah, blah. Fender badge, black fuel filler, 200 mile per hour speedometer, and competition suspension. So it's upgraded suspension. What I'm looking at is like for the 2015, it says specifically competition suspension, but for 2016 on, it says adaptive suspension. But when I look it up for 2015s, it says it came with the adaptive suspension. So if someone with a 2015 can clarify if they have the adaptive suspension or not, that would be great. And then, as I mentioned before, these are going to be your optional equipment. You're going to have your nav system, high performance leather seats with accent stitching and Boss SRT logo. I believe these actually became standard later in the model life. Red seat belts, engine block heater, brass wheels or bronze wheels. So notice how simple this brochure looks. Let me actually move out of the way because I am always... Here we go. Notice how simple this brochure looks. Now let's move on to 2016. So first of all, this marketing campaign is very interesting because every single ad I've seen on here has like some girl in tattoos. Like, like they all have this girl in tattoos. Let's see if this one has it, or did they give up on that? Yeah, they do. They got another girl with tattoos. They got him. Is that their market demographic or who they're trying to sell to? Okay. For the 2019, they got rid of the girl with tattoos. They got a guy with tattoos this time. Yeah, no more girls with tattoos. I wonder what happened. Maybe they just realized that was the complete wrong demographic because I don't see any white girls with tattoos driving Hellcats. That is hilarious. Anyway, let's look at this brochure. As you can see, this is so hard to read. I hate it when car companies do this. They write them down in like this like grid fashion. It's easy to read for the like simplicity, but in terms of like actually understanding it, you have to actually like decipher it. And it's a lot of like lining up the dot. Where is it at on that line? Is it here? Let's see. So as you can also see, the Hellcat is all the way on the right, and you barely see any open circles. That shows that most of the features that were available for the Challenger and Charger at this time were standard on the Hellcat, which is really good, because simply this is a cheap car, so you really want to have the nicest one possible. Just even the leather seats make a huge difference in this car when compared to the rest of the model line. But as you can see as well, none of the packages are available for the Hellcat. Not for 2016. The Hellcat literally had no options in terms of packages. You just had the option little things like the nav screen or like seatbelt colors, but it all was pretty standard. They started to add more and more customizations as the years went on. So here we can see the 2017. This is or no, 2018 was the bad year. Let me see. So I just want you guys to count how many trim levels there are. They have the SXT, the SXT Plus, the RT Shaker, the RT Plus, the RT Plus Shaker, the RT Scat Pack, the 392 Hemi Scat Pack Shaker, the 392, the Hellcat. Same thing here. Now we're moving on to 2018. And this is the worst of them all. Look how many packages that were available in 2018 for the Charger and the Challenger, or for the Challenger specifically. The Charger had a little bit less, but the Challenger had so many different ways. 16 different trim levels for the Challenger in 2018, which is ridiculous. Like, why did they sell it like this? I have no idea. Like, why didn't they have packages? Why are these whole trim levels that are standardly equipped? It's just I don't know if it, I have no idea. You're asking the wrong guy. But as you can see, 16 different trim levels. Let me just read them real quick. SXT, SXT Plus, GT, RT, TA, RT Shaker, RT Plus, TA Plus, RT Plus Shaker, RT Scat Pack, TA 392, 392 Hemi Scat Pack Shaker, SRT 392, SRT Hellcat, SRT Hellcat Wide Body, SRT Demon. There's so many. So yeah, you can see just a ton of information. This is so hard to read too. They didn't even make the text black. They made it like a light gray. And it's just pages and pages and pages and pages. And then they put in the Charger ones, and it's pages and pages and pages. Like, it's just like, they could not make a worse design brochure. And I get it. They had to include a ton of information here, but the way this one was set up is just way better. You basically, I mean, I'll have to give them that it is better when you have like 3 or 4 trim levels, because you're able to read through them like, oh, this one has this, so the next one up has this plus a list, and then this plus a list, right? For this one, they really couldn't do that, and that's why they did it in this grid faction, because they had so many trim levels. But yeah, as you can see, there are 8 trims right here, and then we got 3 more down here. Stupid amount of trim levels. They really make it complicated, especially if you start to dive into the difference between like a SRT 392 and a Scat Pack, because there's a huge debate on that too. But yeah, so the options, let's see, the biggest change in the options was in 2018. So I'm just gonna read off my sheet again, because I can't decipher this off the top of my head. Let's see, wrong sheet. That was my sheet. Here's your sheet. So yeah, in 2018, obviously you see the Harman Kardon audio group became an option. Also, the power convenience package was for the Charger only. As I mentioned before, you didn't get 4-way power seats in Challenger, simply because of the coupe issue. You didn't want people stuck back there. A non-issue that, you know, could have been easily fixed with some engineering. But also the SRT spoiler, that's for the Challenger. Alcantara equipment package, driver assistant package. So let's read out these packages real quick. I'm going to just put this over here so I know. 2018, let's go to the, we're in the Charger right now. Let's just go to the Challenger first and then Charger. All right, so see, we have to look for the Hellcat, and this is the Challenger packages equipment group. So we're scrolling down. Okay, so there's only one package available for the, oh, actually, never mind. There, I was in the wrong column. This one is actually blank. So nothing available here. What did I write here though? Did I write 2018 for anything Challenger? Nope, I did not actually. I did 2019. So let's actually check the 2019, just so we can get some of these packages defined for you, and then we'll move on to the problems, and then we'll go to the ads. So this is a Charger. I believe the Challenger was underneath. Yep, of course. Okay, cool. So we can see the packages here. And this is going to be your SRT Hellcat. what was once the top of the line model according to Dodge is now the middle of the line model. I don't know why the SX, I guess they put the all-wheel drive models at the end, but yeah. Anyway, Hellcat right here, we can see that the Harman Kardon speaker system is optional, with the 6 premium, the 276 watt 6 speaker system being standard, which is crazy because the 18 speaker system used to be standard on a Hellcat. What else do you have here? You have the Alcantara appearance package. So this includes Alcantara / Laguna leather ventilated seats with a logo and power 4-way lumbar adjuster with wild wheel Alcantara steering wheel. So this, it says it's for the Challenger, but I have not seen a single Challenger with the power seat. Even though, like, I'm really confused because it says 4-way power driver lumbar. Oh, 4-way. Oh, 4-way. It might be just the forward and back, and then you have lumbar, so that's 4 ways. I don't know. If you guys have a Challenger and it has a power operated driver's seat, not the bottom part, I'm talking about recline, let me know, because I'm still a little confused on this. And if you know, if you want to find one of these, personally, like, if that existed, that's what I would look for, because I can't find it. It's super rare, so that's what I would want. Anyway, let's see, going back to this, and then you have the driver convenience group. Available again, 2019 plus. It includes power multifunction fold-away mirrors, so folding mirrors, high intensity, so HID headlamps, rhombus illuminated air catcher. I don't know what that is. Park sense rear park assist. Oh, I don't know what this. See, this is also confusing because I see a bunch of stuff that has nothing to do with the Hellcat, but it's an option for the Hellcat. So I guess it comes with all this stuff: blind spot monitoring, rear cross path detection, sheesh, and remote start system. But yeah, moving down, we also have the leather Laguna leather package, which includes premium leather Laguna seats. You'll see that in a second. And then the painted satin black chrome graphics package. If you ever see the Hellcat logo is black, that's what it is. All right, cool. This is the 2021, and I believe everything stayed the same. But for 2020, let's look at the colors because we haven't done that yet, and the wheel options. Obviously, I'm going to show the later versions of this, but just because I know that they, you know, brochures get better over time, so I don't want to show you the worst brochure to show off the colors. I want to show the best examples. So as we can see here, these are going to be your seat options. These are going to be your sport seat options. I believe none of these were available with the Hellcat. Okay, no. So none of the sport seats were. The performance seats were available with the Hellcat. So you have the houndstooth and cloth combo. I'm trying to read this. It says it has the SRT Hellcat with the Hellcat logo. I haven't seen too many, if not any, Hellcats with houndstooth. I don't know if this, it says it's an option. Maybe it was for 2020, but in the past, it's always been leather. All the SRT cars have been leather cars. I believe that's why they're like SRT as opposed to like an SRT 392 is different than a Scat Pack 392 because an SRT is like a more fully loaded example. That's the ethos of the SRT. Like Scat Packs are cool, but they are essentially base level cars. I remember I had this discussion with somebody. He's like the SRT 392, like the pre Hellcat ones, and then the post Hellcat Scat Packs are essentially the same. And I was like, well, yours might be the same because you optioned it to be nice, but a base Scat Pack is going to have houndstooth. It's going to not have any options. So that's the difference between an SRT and a Scat Pack. But obviously it's weird comparing the two because the SRT 392 was really like an older version of the car, and they really didn't make it in the future. They kind of just made Scat Packs. You were able to option out Scat Packs. Anyway, that was a tangent. So this is another seat option. You have Napa leather with Alcantara bolsters and perforated inserts. You'll see a lot of this Napa leather trim with Alcantara bolsters. That is a really popular interior trim. You also have the Napa leather trim with Alcantara bolsters in ruby red. So you see this red and black seat combo. Again, this is also really popular. I'd say these two are going to be the most popular along with just the all black leather one. You also have the Alcantara and leather trim combo with what's this? Tungsten? I don't know. What? Oh, caramel. Black and caramel. Sorry, I was just looking for the color name. I couldn't find it. What else? This one is probably my favorite though. The Sepia Laguna leather. This one is the best interior in my opinion. Either this or the demonic red, but I don't really like the term demonic red. That's kind of scary. I don't really mess with stuff like that, so I don't know if I want a car with demonic red interior, even though obviously it's just a name, it doesn't matter, but it just sounds weird to me. But I guess a lot of It's just a very demonic car now that I think about it. So I'm really tripping. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, you'll see this one a lot too. So this one is going to be leather and Alcantara combo. This one is going to be leather on leather. So this one I'd say is probably the most popular with the Alcantara and leather combo. Actually, hold on. I'm trying to see the difference between this one and this one, because Laguna leather trim with Alcantara perforated inserts and silver accent stitching. Leather trim with Alcantara bolsters. Oh, okay. We'll see it when we look at the examples. But as you can see, these are going to be your interior color options. The biggest ones to look out for, obviously, are going to be sepia, demonic red, and the rest are probably just going to be black. And then let's take a look at some wheel choices. So are these... Okay, I was about to say, those are not on the Hellcats. Wow, that's crazy. I've never seen these wheels ever. So you see these wheels a lot. Obviously, these are the same wheels. These are my favorite wheels. The 20 by 11 inch Devil's Rim. I guess what they're called, but everything is demonic with this car. I didn't even realize that, but like I didn't even think about it, and that's crazy. Anyway, my favorite wheels right here. These ones are the all-time best wheels. You see them in the picture right here. All-time best wheels that came on the yeah, Scat Pack. Yeah, Dodge has a ton of trim levels and options. Sorry, I did not have the screen up, so I didn't see all these chats. But yeah, Dodge is really confusing, and it causes so much arguments in the Challenger groups and Charger groups. It's hilarious. Yeah, Scat Pack is a weird name for a trim, isn't it? It's like only in America we can call something Scat Pack, but Scat really is not a good word. I guess back in the day it was okay, but I don't know. Yeah, man. Scat Pack, SRT, too many trims. They got the TA as well. These are the best wheels right here. They're only going to come on the wide body. So you'll see them when we look at wide bodies, but you won't really see them other than that. And these are going to be your exterior colors. Dodge, this is one of the best things about Dodge's lineup is their colors, because they have cool names for them. So for the purple, we got Hell Raisin, then we got Frostbite, this blue, F8 green, Go Mango, orange, Granite for the gray, Indigo blue. Explain Mopar. So Mopar, I don't want to like say this wrong, but Mopar is like the high performance division of Chrysler. And so like if you have like how SRT is for Dodge, except Chrysler doesn't really, or not SRT, Mopar is, yeah, it's like more of a Chrysler thing, but Dodge and Chrysler are the same thing. But Mopar, I don't know, man. You know what? That's a good question, because like I was trying to explain it, but the more I talk about it, the more confused I get. What is Mopar? Sorry that you're getting a Google answer, GMC, but yeah, I mean, they just make Stellantis parts. It's like an OEM accessory seller, so they make a whole bunch of different aftermarket parts for the car. They also make like all the like fluids and stuff. Like you get like a Mopar fluid. It's just like, it's another name for like aftermarket Chrysler, Dodge, Stellantis products. You know, like Mopar is just the brand name for the supplier that makes those parts, kind of. Yeah, I don't, you know what, that's the whole nother different, that's a good question though. I should actually do some research on that, because I don't have that answer, to be honest. I don't know where Mopar came up. I don't know what their significance is. Like, do they make high performance parts, or they make all parts? Because I know when I used to have a Chrysler 300 back in the day, I had to get Mopar coolant. So like they just it's just like a brand. It's like a in-house brand, I guess so. But I was gonna say it's like SRT for Dodge, but they don't have any like Mopar models. That's the reason why I was getting a little confused, because I was gonna say it's like a high performance tuning division, but it's not, because they don't have like a Chrysler Mopar like 392 or something like that. Yeah. Yeah, that's also true. Like back in the day, Mopar was like a thing. It was like they supplied like high performance parts, but now it's just like general parts. That's what I'm trying to like you know, that's what I can make out of it. But I don't really want to, you know, dive too deep in that, because I'm just gonna be guessing. It's gonna be like not too accurate. What was I on? Oh yeah, the pictures. I mean, not the pictures, the colors. Oh well, what was I on? Because this was different colors. Yeah, okay, here we go. And then we have cinnamon stick. It's going to be this orange, octane red, pitch black, triple nickel, white knuckle, and torrid. Torred. Oh, wow. Hold on. Oh, this is a 2020. Okay, so you know, they actually went back to the old style of they actually put in this type of, you know, I don't know how to say it, like the packages build upon each other as they go down, so you understand what cars have what in terms of additions to the previous trim level. And they actually did it for the 2020. Seems like they learned their lesson. And this is the Charger 2020, same colors though. All right, cool. So we went over the options, the colors. Not really anything else to really look, you know, look out for in terms of the ads. Let's get on to the problems. There are a ton of problems with this car. A lot of them stem around the earlier model years, 2015 to 2016. So you want to make sure that, you know, this car is not the best made product. You know, it feels like it feels good to drive. I'm not going to lie. It feels like a stout, taut, like well put together vehicle. Kind of. It feels heavy and it feels solid. However, the way it's built and the production quality isn't the highest because it is a Chrysler product. It's probably the lowest quality out of the three, I'd have to say. In my opinion, I'd say Ford is at the top, and then GM, and then Dodge. Yeah, let me know what you think about that in terms of quality. I think Ford is at the top, then GM, then Dodge. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it does feel huge like a boat, but that is the point. It is not a track car. It is a GT car. It's something that you do highway rolls from 60 to 160 in, and it's very comfortable compared to the other cars in its class. But yeah, we're getting on to the problems. Let me get this actually up real quick. Let me put this over here. So just a few problems. And we're mostly going to talk about the 15 through 16/17. If you want the least problematic car, I'll just say this right now, get an 18 plus. But if you get an 18 plus, just be aware that you still will have some problems. It is a Dodge product. So 15 to 17, biggest issue that you'll see, one of the biggest issues. What year is your GT again, GMC? But I mean, you have a GT with as a Coyote, so you can't go wrong with that, man. That is a really good engine. Like, you know how people say the E92 M3's S65? S65, right? I'm not tripping. Please don't tell me I'm tripping. I gotta Google this real quick, yo. Sorry. S65 V8. Yes, sir. Yes, it is. All right. Yeah. So what I was gonna say about the Mustang is that Coyote motor is such a good engine. Like, fundamentally, 5-liter dual overhead cam, revs really high. That's like the most high-tech American V8 we have right now. Oh, actually, I lied. The new Z06 Corvette beats that, but I do believe, and obviously the Voodoo motors in the GTs and stuff. But the Coyote engine is just really good, high tech, and yeah, I'd say Ford is at the top of the tech, but Dodge is at the bottom of the tech. Ford is using a 5-liter dual overhead cam engine. Dodge is using a 6.2-liter pushrod engine, and they're being produced at the same exact time. And then Chevy obviously is also using a pushrod engine, but they kind of do a little bit more in terms of on the technological side, maybe in terms of their suspension, and their overall build quality is a little bit higher than Dodge in my opinion. So that's why Dodge rates last in terms of quality. But I am a sucker for Dodge. Like, this is my favorite one out of the three, even though I admit that it is the least built, the least well built, the worst built out of the three. Anyway, so supercharger, bad bearing noise at idle. This is a problem for the early model years, specifically 15, 16. Some 17s are also included in this. So you're going to just have to get this replaced. A lot of these superchargers were replaced under warranty. This was a big issue with the early Hellcats, was the supercharger just had a whole bunch of problems. You want to make sure that the supercharger has been addressed. If it's one of these early cars, it probably has been addressed because it was a big, well-known issue back in the day. So unless the car was just sitting around for all this time, you really want to make sure that the bearing noise doesn't have any like excess bearing noise at idle. You should only hear that noise when you're getting on it at speed. Yeah, I mean, that's true. You can't really hate on any of them. They're all great examples. Yeah, also rear differential groaning noise. A lot of these, as I mentioned, were in the first model years and they were addressed. So just make sure that all these are addressed because they are like actual problems that have been reported a lot. So rear differential groaning noise, make sure your rear diff doesn't groan when you're making those slow speed, full lock to lock turns. The charge air pump connector, there's corrosion on it. This is just something from the factory. The connector for the charge air pump basically gets corroded because they didn't spray enough grease or like that white lithium, whatever, in the connection and it corroded. It happens quite often, which is weird. So just make sure that that has been addressed. Drive shaft / drive train is a weak link. So yeah, the drive shaft has been or could be replaced. A lot of drive shafts were replaced early on, especially if the car was being driven hard early in its life. The drive shaft was probably replaced because it had so many problems. The fuel rail crossover recall, that's a big thing. It could, obviously it's your fuel rail. It's going to affect not only your drivability, but it could affect safety as well. You don't want to mess around with any fuel lines. The oil cooler line leak, big issue for 2016 and 2015 cars. You want to make sure that all the lines are good. You don't want to be leaking, man. It's not like this. That goes for every car. Like check all your lines. You also have the rocker arm problem with the cylinder misfire. These cars, they're Hemi engines. The rocker arms start to go bad after a while. You hear ticking. It'll be misfires. It's been said that these Hemis, like after 100,000 miles, like they're pretty much like cooked. They got to get reinstated back into service. Like they need to get a lot of work done to them to make sure that they last another 100,000 miles. But that could partly be to the fact that people just beat on these cars. Sound systems / tweeters, this is an overall electrical issue that I'll get into later because I do mention it out here. But there are a ton of electrical issues with these cars in general. Issues with the infotainment, issues with the cluster, issues with the sound system, the tweeters, the speakers, amps, everything. This car was just it just had a weird finicky electrical system, and there really is no way to specifically tell what's wrong unless you like go and test your car and see what exactly is what exactly is the issue, because it could be a multitude of things. You also have regular or paint defects just across the board. These cars don't have the best paint. You also have a supercharger pressure release valve. Sometimes that malfunctions, and obviously you don't want that. Yeah, I'm telling you, like, read it. You barely see any Hemis with over 100,000 miles that haven't had some work done to them, because I don't know why. It's the valve train. It's something's wrong with it. It ticks after 100,000 miles, like heavy, like even after it's warm. Obviously not all of them. Obviously, if you took care of your car, you're not gonna have these issues. But you'll see with all these cars, a lot of them, as I mentioned, have been really had a hard life. They've been stolen, they've been wrecked, they've been stolen and wrecked, and then lied about to make clean again. Yeah, 100,000 miles. You don't really want to pick up a high mile like Hellcat unless it has been really gone through. But most of them probably haven't. Well, where was I at? The transmission, the 8-speed auto, it had problems. If it was shifting bad, you could get an update and flash a new tune onto the transmission. If it was having issues, the Uconnect update, a lot of people actually don't like this update. This was, I didn't write down which update it was, but there was a specific update that really caused a lot of problems with the Uconnect system, and it was sometime in this before 2017. So you can always get another flash. Like obviously it's 2024. There's an update for the flash for the Uconnect. Just make sure that obviously if it works, it works. If it doesn't, you can fix it or just deal with it. It's a Hellcat. The radiator hose leak for the 2015 Challengers specifically. If you get an early model year 2015 Challenger, make sure that the radiator hose is good. Harman Kardon speaker system amp flash upgrade. So same thing with the Uconnect. The amp it was operating finicky. It was going in and out. So you can get the amp upgraded too with the flash for a new amp tune. And then you also had the Tremec 6060 problems. Same transmission that was in the ZL1, same transmission that was in the GT500. The Tremec 6060 has problems with first and second gear. You have first and second gear grinding issues. it's weird because in the Mustang they changed some of the synchros to add to fix that problem, but then they said it was a fluid issue, and then so if you get the fluid change, then you're good. So I don't know if that's the same thing with this. If you do a certain mix of ATF with like Pennzoil something fluid, like not ATF, that's it like works. I don't know. So yeah, Tremec 6060 problems with the manual, and then you have the struts and shocks wear prematurely. This could just be from the weight of the car. It's a big heavy boat of a car, and so it's going to go through shocks and struts really fast, especially bushings and ball joints too, because those are going to take most of the impact. So if the car is clunking around and stuff, you want to make sure that the suspension looks okay. Also, the suspension is also prone to rusting, which also adds to the premature wear. So make sure that nothing on the suspension components are rusting. Look at the upper section of the shock tower, the upper control arm, the upper, like the underneath side of the top hat where the spring is up onto. Like check that whole area, make sure there's no rust, because these cars do tend to rust there. And then, as I mentioned before, electrical problems on all years. You're gonna just have random electrical gremlins. Like sometimes the car won't start, sometimes the Uconnect won't work, sometimes your gauge cluster is having issues, sometimes like random things happen with this car. It could be related to the battery, it could be related to like a voltage regulator somewhere. I don't know, you can never know. It's just something you have to deal with these cars, and if you don't, you're pretty lucky. And then overall quality, as I mentioned, the car starts off as a very cheap car. You know, a V6 Challenger is not a high quality car by any means. And so when you're moving on up to the Hellcat and the Hellcat wide body, you have to remember it's essentially the same platform with different parts like added on and swapped out. It's the same platform, so you can't expect that much of a bump in driving experience in terms of quality. What I would say is what I always say: to get the most expensive, not necessarily expensive, most luxurious version of a car you can get, especially if it's a car like this where it starts off as a cheap car, because you really want to max out your experience in something like this. Yeah, you can get a base model car with a big engine and it'll be great, and that'll be a good value, right? But will it be a good experience? It'll be an okay experience. You'll have your engine and stuff, but when you're just driving around using a car as a regular car, it's still not going to be as nice as something with a small engine and a luxurious interior. So as I always say, because this car is a Dodge Challenger to begin with, the overall quality isn't too great. However, you can kind of reverse that by getting the nice seats and other convenience features on the interior. So that wraps up the features, options, and problems. Let's get on to the ad part of the show. All right, got a ton of tabs. Hey, shout out to the 3 people in the chat that are still here. Shout out to y'all. All right, so our first example, as you can see, he has a video and 2 pictures, so already I'll give him a slap, but it is a nice example. As you can see, it is a narrow body Challenger. This is a 2015, and it is a manual transmission. Super desirable for a Hellcat. Oh, you can see he even blurred his plate. Wow. Yeah, I mean, usually I make fun of people for blurring their plate, but it's a Hellcat, so he might have been involved in some nefarious activities. So I don't blame him. Looking at the interior, we can see that we have that all black interior with the leather perforations on the center. However, there is no Alcantara, but obviously right here in the middle, we see that 6-speed, highly desirable for cars like this, super high power. So it's such a flex to be able to drive a manual car with 700 horsepower. Be like, yeah, like I'm controlling all this power, like I'm that guy. But a lot of people don't know how to drive manual, so these are going to be pretty rare. They didn't really sell as many manuals as automatics. You know, as an enthusiast, you're like, well, cars like this, you know, everyone's going to buy the manual, but they didn't. The automatic in this car is actually really good. I actually really like the automatic. In fact, I like the automatic probably a little bit more than the manual in this car because it's an 8-speed and it just shifts so good, and like it's such a solid feeling transmission when it works right. So moving on to yeah, these pictures, not very many pictures at all. 2015 Challenger Hellcat with 6-speed trans, open to trades for classic cars. Not too much information. You can see some wear on the side bolsters, but nothing too crazy. It has 62,000 miles, so I'd say these cars, you'll see some of them with a good amount of miles at this point, because I don't know, they seem to be driven a lot more. I guess, actually no, not I guess. The reason why they're driven a lot more is because they're more comfortable than their competition. So you'll see a lot of these you'll see a lot of these. I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, you see a lot of these with a little bit higher miles than the GT500 and then ZL1. Yeah, BMW. I don't even know what I was like moving on so much. I don't even know. Anyway, sorry, I lost my train of thought there. For this car, it has not that many pictures, but he does have a video, so we'll just watch it again. You can see it does look nice. I'm not gonna lie, like I used to be one of those people that have been like, I don't like the narrow body. As soon as the wide body came out, I was like, I could not ever get a narrow body. But I'll say this right now, you'll see a narrow body outside, like on the road, like with the good stance, you're like, wow, that actually looks really good. And the second thing is, like, when you're looking from a distance, it's harder to tell than you think whether a car is a wide body or a narrow body. They kind of look the same anyway. So it's like, if you want to spend the extra money on a wide body, obviously you're going to get the, oh, I didn't even mention the pluses of getting a wide body. I didn't mention that in there. So the wide body package not only comes with a wide body and comes with those wheels, but it also comes with special sport tune suspension that's only available on the wide body, and it's way better than the stock suspension, according to people, you know, that have driven them both. I've only been in wide body ones, but actually no, I've only been in a wide body Hellcat, but I've driven tons of Hemi narrow body cars, not a Hellcat, like either a Hemi or a Scat Pack, but not a Hellcat narrow body. Anyway, so I'm saying that to say that the narrow body, you don't I can't even speak, man. It's getting to that time. We are over an hour in. Hey, shout out to the 6 people in the chat, man. There's a lot of people here. Maybe I should stream later regularly, because if I stream at noon, I get like 2 people. Anyway, what I was saying, don't count out the narrow body Hellcat. It is still a good car. It's still very desirable, and most people, they don't care. It's gonna be just the nerds and the geeks that care if it's a wide body or not. So for this car, we can see that it doesn't really have any options. It has a standard seat. The only thing it has going for it is the manual transmission. Yep, exactly. Yeah, shout out to you, Clean Whips. That's exactly correct. The wide body does have a firmer ride, and the standard cars do have adaptive suspension. The wide body comes with springs. And it's just a better handling car, but the narrow body feels better on the road. It's more comfortable. What else? Yo, I was doing price. 45 grand they're asking for this. It is a manual Hellcat. They're going to command a high premium. The people who want manual Hellcats are far. Well, there's not that many of them available. And obviously there's less than the demand. So the demand's always going to push up the price. That's how it works. So 62,000 miles, 45 grand for this 2015 first model year Hellcat. I would be around the $40,000 mark. I really wouldn't want to go anywhere above 40 grand. In fact, I really want to stay under 40 grand. So I'll just say 39,999 for this car. It is a manual car, and it is in black, my favorite. So, oh yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with you, GMC. BMW is my favorite brand overall because of those exact reasons. And also because of their ethos. They took a sports car and they made it luxury. I mentioned this before, but Mercedes takes their luxury cars and makes them sporty. And Audi, I don't know what Audi's doing. Audi takes their rally cars and put them on the road. So I'd say BMW is the best brand for that, because their cars, first of all, they underrate all their cars from the factory. Nowadays, they didn't do it as much back then, but nowadays it's insane. Like, you'll read on paper the BMWs like competing, like an M5 has this much power, but in practice, like that wheel horse or that crank horsepower number is actually the wheel horsepower. BMW's insane. My favorite brand. I can't wait to get another M6. It will happen soon. I need it. Anyway, this one, 40 grand, just because it is a manual car, they are going to command a higher price. And 62,000 miles, you know, it's a little bit, but it's not the highest amount of miles. It could be worse. Moving on to our next example, we have another narrow body Challenger. This one is also in black. It has these wheels on them. It's hard to see the wheels on the other one. You can see it also has a lip spoiler in the front with these poles, the adjustment poles that don't do anything but look weird to me. I think they look so dumb. I'm sorry. I'm hating on these. I don't get it. Are you adjusting this, or is it simply for support? Because I don't think that you need these supports unless you're doing adjustments, because that's what it's for, right? It's for adjusting so you get different aerodynamic profiles and maybe tweak the way your car feels, but it's attached solidly. How is it going to adjust? I don't know. Maybe it's for micro adjustments. No idea. Or is it attached solidly? I don't know. Anyway, not hating on the car. Yeah, exactly. Um, hey Jacob, yeah, we'll do we'll do a talk about Porsche. Porsche is huge here, and I'll go off on this tangent real quick. Today's gonna be a long show, by the way. Hope you guys are strapped in because we got a whole bunch of ads to go. Yeah, look, I share your sentiment in some ways. Clean whips. I say that the car is a waste of money. I do think it is a really good car, though. It's worth some money. I think it's worth about 100 grand less than what it goes for. I've said this before, but when you compare it, like, think of it in your brain like this. Do I want a 992 GT3 or do I want a 720S performance? A McLaren 720S performance or a 992 GT3? Some people actually say the GT3, and I'm like, if you really think so, then you must be a nerd or something, because the 720S is just a way cooler car. You can't get any cooler. Like, I think the only car that's cooler than a 720S is an Aventador. Those cars, just the way they look is so unique compared to everything else on the road. And when you think about a 911 versus a 720S, a 911 can be had in a bunch of specs, just like this Challenger, although it's not obviously in the same realm at all. A base 911 is going to be the same price as a Hellcat. But the point still stands, as in it's a huge range of cars. If you get a McLaren, you know it's a good, like, it's not accessible to everybody, but if you get a Porsche, it's like accessible. But still, people will oogle over a GT3 and it'll be like their ultimate dream car, and you don't have to say to that, and it's like, nerd. Like, there are definitely way cooler cars out there. And if you're about the numbers and that's why you like your Porsche, then I hate to break it to you that the cars aren't all about numbers, or else the Dodge Hellcat right here would be a horrible car, but it's not. It's actually one of the most fun cars you could ever get, despite the fact that it's super unreliable and super expensive. It's just a great time, even though it has everything going against it. It just still wins. Anyway, let's take a look at this one. 2016, as I mentioned before, it has this weird stuff going on the front. You can see they did some stuff with the they put a badge here. Interior looks all right. It has 29,000 miles. Looks a little bit worn for having only 29,000 miles. So you can see the seat already has a good amount of wrinkling on the side. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty standard here. You don't really see any options. It doesn't have a sunroof or anything. It doesn't have any cool interior options, just a standard black leather. 39 grand they're asking. 29,000 miles. So this is confusing for me, because this one right here is 62,000 miles. They're asking 45. It's a stick, obviously, but is it really worth that much more? I don't know. You guys will have to tell me. I'd say I pay 40 grand for a stick, but for an automatic one with twice the amount of miles, I'd be willing to go up to $34,000 for this example. It is a Hellcat, and it is under 30,000 miles. Yeah. You'll see. Yeah. It's so weird because these cars were released at a time where the people could actually afford it, but now they're supercar level cars. So it's like the people who got these originally like destroyed them, and now everyone wants to take care of these cars. It's really funny how it happens. But yeah, you could lease one of these back in the day for like 500, 600 bucks. And now you finance the car and you're paying 1,200 bucks. A lease is going to be like 1,500 bucks for like a top of the line Hellcat. It's insane. If they'll even do that for you. That's a good question. So I hate to break it to you, Jacob, but anyone can change the mileage on pretty much any car. I've seen it happen with my own eyes. I've seen the way people talk about how this is such a smart idea. Like, do you want this product? Like, I can save you, like, I can make you money with it. Like, you can literally buy a car, roll back the miles, and make money. And people do that all the time. Shout out to South Florida, because I'm pretty sure that's where most of those are. If you ever buy a car from South Florida, you have to really go back on that history and make sure that all the mileage is like consecutive and gets bigger and bigger and bigger, because people like do that. I'm not going to say names because that's dumb, because, you know, it doesn't really help. But yeah, I know people that do that like as a business. It's crazy. Whenever you are buying a car, that's just a tip. Bring a scanner. Hopefully, like, you know, if they have apps now like Carly and stuff like that that allow you to hook it up to Bluetooth and get way more information than a traditional scanner. I suggest doing that because those actually tell the mileage as well. So highly suggest you scan a car before you buy it, because especially cars like these, and honestly, the more expensive cars get, the more likely people are to roll back the miles, because of the depreciation between mileage is so big on cars that are worth that much. So it's actually worth it. Yeah, that was a good question, Jacob. It's crazy. Yeah, especially in America. I don't know how it is in Europe, but it probably is the same thing. There's you know, scumbags everywhere. So yeah, for this one, 33 grand. Moving on to our next example, we have a purple car. This one I believe is called Plum Crazy. Yep, Plum Crazy. Purple car, this one's gonna be a Challenger though. I mean, purple car, this one's gonna be a Charger though, our first Charger. But it is gonna be a narrow body because obviously it is a 2016. See, the interior spec is also gonna be that black. You can see, you know, the interiors on the Challengers and Chargers look pretty much the same. Nothing too fancy, except I'll say that this guy's pictures are actually pretty horrible. Like, oh, and shout out to you, I'll give you a ding for your license plate fist. It's so funny. It's like, I see a lot of Charger and Challenger people covering their plate, which is funny. It's like, do they all do illegal activity? Because, you know, a lot of people think that people are going to find you based on your plate. Like, it's not really going to happen. Like, your plate is public information. Yep. Vikings. Definitely a Vikings car. It would be better if it had like the brown interior. Purple on the sepia interior would have been a dope color combo. I haven't seen one yet. Let's see what he has to say. 2016 Hellcat Charger, 707 horsepower, Plum Crazy, custom drive modes, cold air intake, remote start, black leather and heated cool seats, heated steering wheel, new tires, garage kept. How much does he want for it? 48 grand, and it is 52,000 miles. As you can see, these Chargers go for a lot of money when compared to the Challengers. I'm like looking at this. I was looking at them earlier. I'm like, wow, the Chargers are actually kind of expensive. Like 50 grand for this car. It is a 2016 with 52,000 miles, a Dodge. It's not even a wide body, and they want almost 50 grand. I'd say for this being a narrow body 2016 with 52,000 miles, I'd be willing to go. I'd be willing to go up to what? I'd be willing to go up to $37,000. I don't think I'd buy it. I was gonna say this. Actually, I was gonna mention where I was going with what I was saying earlier. The pandemic made these prices of these cars insane. I don't know, like it was specifically. I know it wasn't specifically, but for some reason, it just seems like the Dodge Challenger and Charger went up by like 100% in the pandemic. Like you could find them all day in the 20s and 30s. Like you could find a Hellcat in the 20s back then, 20s, 30s, but now the cheapest one is gonna be in the 40s, and that's insane. That is insane. Like double the price in years, and it's the same exact car with more miles, and the price doubled. Crazy. Here we have our next example. This is going to be a 2019 Challenger with the wide body. As you can see, it has my favorite wheels. These are going to be literally the best wheels that came on any Dodge product. These wheels look so good, especially on the wide body. Looking on the interior, we can see it has a demonic red interior, which looks really good. Black on red. This is one of literally the best specs of the Challenger you can get. Black exterior with these wheels, wide body. The interior really doesn't matter. I could go red, I could go sepia, I could go black. It doesn't really matter to me. Actually, the one thing that matters to me, I want leather. I don't really like the Alcantara seats. It just feels kind of cheap to me. But this car right here is such a good spec, and they know it. 15,000 miles. They're asking $60,000. What does he have to say? In-house financing available, clean title in hand. Okay, so not much information. Looking at the car, there's not much to see either. We do see it has the hood pin install, which is pretty cool. It also has a double snorkel hood. This was a red eye hood, basically made as an option for the Hellcat. This dual snorkel hood, I like it a lot. It adds a lot of character to the front of the car. You can also see this protective thing on the bottom. But other than that, not too many photos. It is a really, really good spec. This is a really good example of something if you want to get the nicest one you can find. 15,000 miles. It's leather. It has it's wide body. It has all the right options. It doesn't have a sunroof, but it really doesn't matter. It's still a wide body. I'd say for this being a wide body and being only 15,000 miles, I'd be around the $52,000 mark. He says, isn't leather colder in the winter, or you don't drive in the winter? You know, it's funny because leather is colder in the winter and it is hotter in the summer. but I I'd say get leather. I'm not really actually that person who cares too much. Like I say I want leather instead of Alcantara, but like that is me like building my optimal car. I don't really truly care about that if it's like, because cloth seats are nice for that reason. They don't get cold and they don't get hot. And it's funny because in my LS 430 has leather seats, obviously, but I have like a whole sheepskin cover on my driver's seat. So that what does that say? Anyway, this one I said 53,000. Yep. So moving on to our last ad on Facebook. Hey, shout out to the 7 viewers. That is a record. 7 people in the chat. That is a record for me. Shout out to all of you. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for yeah, coming in and just showing love. Yep, heated and cool seats. Exactly, clean whips. That's what we got them for. If your leather seats are hot in the summer, you can cool them down. If they're cold in the winter, you can heat them up. Exactly. Moving on to our next example, our final example on Facebook, we have a 2020 Charger SRT Hellcat, 21,000 miles in a really nice color that has the bronze wheels, the bronze devil wheels or whatever they're called. Favorite wheels, but they're in bronze and not black. You can see it's also in blue, frostbite blue to be specific. Let's see what it has to say. Full black leather interior, HK audio, so it has a Harman Kardon, has the brass monkey wheels, carbon stripes, new tires all around. Very nice car. Let's take a look at the interior spec. We can see all black interior, like he said. Oh, another thing to mention, I mentioned it earlier, but you can see the Charger has power front seats in terms of the recline. No Challenger that I've seen so far has power. Oh, this is another Charger. Let's go. Yep, no Challenger that I've seen so far has power recline, and the reason behind that is because they want people in the back seats to be able to get out easy. You know, they could have invented some sort of mechanical system to move the seat up, but they didn't, and that is their solution. So yeah, Charger is going to have recline. Challengers do not. So moving on, we're looking at this, you know, pretty standardly spec'd interior for a Charger. You don't really see anything too fancy, but it is Dodge, so you really can't expect anything too fancy. It's just blue with the black interior. Engine bay looks pretty clean as well. Only 21,000 miles, and they want 68.5. It is a wide body Challenger, so it has that going for it. These are going to be the most desirable of them all. People like the did I say Challenger? This is going to be a wide body Charger, the most desirable of them all. I'd say the wide body Charger is more desirable than the wide body Challenger, simply because it is a more practical car. It applies to more people. But yeah, I just I'd say that that's why the prices are so high on the Chargers compared to the Challengers. I'd say this being a Charger, I'd be willing to go up to 60 grand for this, having 21,000 miles. Nothing above that though. 60 grand is really what I pay most for a Hellcat. Like that is like, why would you pay more than 60 grand for a Hellcat? Like, I just keep transporting myself back to 2 or 3, 4 years ago when all these cars were going for half the price they are now. And then I come back to today and I say that, and then people act like I'm crazy. I'm like, no, bro, like these prices have been low forever. And now all of a sudden, in the last recent times, they want to jump up, and you think that's normal? It's not normal. I think like I predict that at some point, like it has to correct this it's auto inflation. I mean, obviously it's correcting already. Prices have gone down since like March or April, or when the peak around was like last year. Well, I said March or April, like it's not about to be March and April. Yeah, so obviously car prices have come down a little bit. However, they still have a lot to go. Dealership auctions aren't selling. Cars are being like piling up at the dealership auctions. So until those cars get bought, those prices won't go down. And if you know what I mean, like if the car doesn't get sold, you technically don't lose any money. So the price is still technically the same because it hasn't been sold at that price. Once you sell it at a lower price, it sets the precedent, and that is what's slowly happening, and that turns into a snowball effect after a while in terms of price. Anyway, moving on to Auto Trader, the next place we look at ads. Our first example here, we have a 2015 Challenger Hellcat narrow body in black with the standard, you know, pre-wide body wheels. You can see they even included a build sheet. You see the optional equipment already off the bat. It has red seat belt, satin black aluminum hood with the functional vents. It has nav. It also has the summer tires, and they had to pay the 1,700 gas guzzler tax. Interesting. Cool. You can see it makes 13 city, 21 highway, even though these are way off. I'd say about maybe like 7 or 8 city. Yeah, let's get out of this one. Keep looking at the car. Let's look at the interior, see what it looks like. This is already looking really good in my opinion. See, this is what I'm talking about in terms of a narrow body Challenger. Like, you can't tell me this doesn't look good. If you saw this driving on the street, it wouldn't really matter if it was a wide body or not. Like, especially ones where it's like OEM plus, where they're slightly lower and they have the spaced out wheels for the perfectly flush. Like, the narrow bodies look good too. I don't get why people hate on them so much. Like, the people who hate on them can't afford either of them. So, as we can also see, this one is a manual. And then you also see this one is the leather with the Alcantara seats. Thoughts on girls who drive Nissan Maximas? They're not as bad as the girls who drive Nissan Altimas. Those are the worst ones. But Maximas are close second. Those are literally like a bad baby-esque. That's how I describe Altima girls and Maxima girls. Bad baby-esque. So moving on to this. We Versas, oh man, that's even like every girl that I bet with the Versa, just their life was not together. Like, the Versa was always so beat up, every single one, and they just were living chaotically. That just gave a funny memory to me, because I was just thinking about that. I remember like years ago, I was like, why do all these girls with Versas, why are they all beat up? Yeah, exactly. Exactly, clean whips. That's what I'm talking about. These look good. Like, I don't know why people knock these so much, especially in black. Because the thing is that with Chargers and Challengers, well, maybe Challengers specifically, but this front lip piece that comes on the Hellcats, it's always in black. So if you get another color, it's still in black. It looks weird. I think it looks really good in black because it matches. It's all like one color. It looks more cohesive. But yeah, we can see this one also has the red seatbelt option, but it has the Alcantara and leather option as well as the red seatbelt option. It is also a manual. Very clean example for having 53,000 miles. This example is very clean. I'd say because it has 53,000 miles and it's a first model year, I really wouldn't want to pay 44, even though this is a perfect spec for me if I were to get a narrow body Challenger. I'd say because it has 53,000 miles and is a perfect spec and a manual, I'd be willing. Actually, hold on. I don't want to misquote myself. Yeah, this one was manual 62 and I was going up to what, 30 something. Yeah, for this one, it's way nicer than that one. I'd say for this one, having 53,000 miles, I'd be willing to go up to $37,000. What does he mean, Versa? What do I mean, Versa? Oh, Versa. It's a car. It's a Nissan. It's like below an Altima, but or it might be below a Sentra too. I don't know, but it's like a really base model car and it sucks. It's like literally the worst of the worst in terms of Nissan, like CVT issues, build quality issues. It's ugly. It's slow. Everything's wrong with the Versa. It's a horrible car. Shout out to the Versa. Do I recommend Carvana or stay away from them? Look, this is how I feel about dealerships in general, and then I'll get into Carvana specifically. Dealerships in general, they obviously charge you more. What are they charging you for though? They're charging you more for convenience, and some people value that convenience. Some people value customer service. They value making that relationship with the dealership in case they want to do business in the future. These are reasons why you should be going to a dealership, not because that's the only way you know how to buy a car. A dealership, you got to take advantage of the customer service, you got to take advantage of the connections, and you got to take advantage of just the buying process is a lot smoother. They take care of a lot of the stuff for you. Granted, if you're not experienced in dealership, you can be there all day, but if you know what you're doing, you can easily get what you want and then have like a really good experience with buying a car. Like, it could lead to other things. If you buy a car private party, obviously it's much cheaper because you're not getting any services and you're gonna have to do all the paperwork and everything yourself. You're gonna have to run around different places getting plates and everything. It's more of a hassle. Sites like Carvana, they're very convenient for buyers and very convenient for sellers, but the business model just isn't sustainable. And you can see this with Carvana. Like, they're not doing well at all as a company, and no company that buys and sells cars strictly on the internet is doing well, simply because you can't do that. Like, cars, you have to look at a car in person in order to fully assess it. You can't fully assess it on the internet, which is funny because that's what we do here on the channel. But if you're actually going to buy the car sight unseen on a mass scale, you're going to have big problems because a lot of people are going to take advantage of that system. They're going to sell you lemon cars. They're going to sell you beat up cars. They're going to sell you cars which they, mess with the title. They're going to sell you cars that are still under lien. They're gonna do everything to just get rid of the car to Carvana, because it's not. There's no person coming to check the car. You just give them the car, and that's it. It's like already qualified. So that's why I don't like Carvana. Simply because the business model isn't good. If you could buy and sell cars on the internet effectively, that would be amazing. I think that would be great, because it would make my job a lot easier. I could do a whole lot more if I could buy and sell cars straight off the internet instead of looking at them in person. But yeah, that's how I feel about Carvana. I don't think they're going to last that long, because the people who run Carvana aren't car people. They are business people. They are like accountants. They don't know anything about cars. They just figured like, oh, okay, this is a good market. We can have good profit margins if we do this and that. Yeah, I hope she got a good car, man. One thing that's good about Carvana is that when you get the car, you have like a certain window of time where you can take the car to any like Carvana authorized shop and they'll fix it and Carvana will pay for it. So if you just bought a car from Carvana, I suggest taking it to the shop and having them look it over completely, like every little detail. And then you can go back to Carvana and say, all these things were wrong. You didn't tell me about this, blah, blah, blah. Or like, all these things are wrong with the car. I need them fixed. Just demand it. And most likely they will give you some money to work with without any type of issue. That's one thing about Carvana. Another thing, people, like I was mentioning, people are scamming Carvana on the front end with their cars, but people are also scamming Carvana on the back end by getting a bunch of free repairs on things that were already mentioned in the ads. So you can really finesse companies that do stuff very automatically. That's the overarching theme, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. So as I mentioned for this one, $37,000. A Toyota Prius. I mean, did she get a good deal on it? Actually, you know, it's weird to say, but I realized this early on, that when people get new cars and stuff, it's not really good to ask them if they got a good deal or how much they paid for it, because like if they actually got a bad deal, like what are you supposed to say to that? Because that's what happens to me most of the time. I'm like, how much you pay for it? Oh, I paid like this price. Like, sorry. Like, no, the main question when someone gets a car is, do they like it? That's it. Like, that's what I ask people now. I don't ask them how much they paid for it or anything like that, because like, it's not really, it doesn't lead to anything conversation. Like, if she likes it, it's good. If it doesn't give her problems, that's also good. If it is a reliable car, that's good. You can't really put a price tag on just convenience and reliability. That's pretty much like, that's like a really good luxury to have. And a Prius is really reliable, and Carvana is really convenient. So hopefully she got the best deal that she could. Moving on to the next one, we have a green example. This one is called Green Go. Hey, no, that is big ups to her that she bought a car by herself. Shout out to her, especially like on Carvana, because that's like pretty like experimental and risky, right? So Green Go Charger. This is going to be a narrow body Charger, and see the interior is in the black leather. One of the most common trim specs for the interior on these cars. So you can also see it has the power recline because it is a Charger. They didn't have to worry about people getting stuck in the back seats. It does not have the Alpine, or it does not have the Harman Kardon stereo. This is a 2017, so the the Charger did not have that standard, which was actually pretty unfortunate. Yeah, you can see that it wasn't standard, so he put his own sub box in to make up for the lack of speaker power in this car. But other than that, they want $51,723, and it is a 42,000 mile car. 2017 narrow body, still going for 50 grand, which is insane. This is insane, y'all. 40,000 miles, 2017, $50,000. Not a wide body. It doesn't even have the nice sound system. It's literally like a base Hellcat with 40,000 miles for 52 grand. For this one, obviously the Chargers are more expensive than the Challengers. We've realized that. I'd say for having 41,000 miles, 42,000 miles, I'd be more around the $44,000 mark. This green, it's cool and all, but obviously it's going to deter a lot of the population in terms of your buying pool. So trying to resell this is probably going to be a hassle, unless you get lucky and find someone that really wanted one, but he's probably going to want one for the right price. Do not need to import. Yeah, Jacob is like, what is going on here, man? Like, these are insane for a Dodge. Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm saying, like, these have to go down in price at some point, because like You can buy a 2017 BMW M6 for $15,000 less than this car. Like a BMW M6 twin turbo V8 with endless tuning potential and endless luxury. Like, I get it. The appeal is like just the American, the raw muscle power, but still, like, come on now. You gotta. Yeah, don't speed in this color. You'll be seen immediately. Yeah, the insurance is insane on Hellcats. Like, that's why we didn't rent them when I was working for the rental car company. We had a Lamborghini Huracan, we had a 570S, we had a Wraith, we had some other regular cars, but we never had any Chargers or Challengers because the insurance for a rental Charger or Challenger is just insane. It's more than the car note. It's ridiculous. Cool. So yeah, for this one, $51,000, $52,000 are asking. I'd be more around the $43,000 mark, simply because the color isn't too desirable. Moving on, this is probably one of the best deals I've seen so far. It is a 2018 SRT Hellcat manual with low miles, 12,000 miles, and they want 62 for it. Very clean too. It is in white with my favorite wheels. You'll see some of the wide bodies, they have different wheels, but most of the ones we're looking at today do have these good wheels, the devil wheels or whatever they're called. Astaghfirullah. Anyway, scrolling down, we're gonna see we're going to the interior. There we go. Has the Alcantara and leather interior with the red seat belts. As I mentioned, it is a manual, highly desirable car. These wide body Challenger manuals, we looked at narrow body manuals. This is a wide body manual, super rare. I actually have a, hold on, I actually got this sheet, or did I close it out? Actually, yeah, I think I definitely closed it out. Whatever. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Anyway, I had a production number sheet, but there are very few manual wide body Challengers on the road. In fact, this was one of the only ones I could find. There are a few floating around here and there, but very rare, very desirable. If I were to bet on what car is going to be worth more in like 50 years out of all of them, it's going to be this one. Wide body manual Challenger. Really can't beat it, and they really didn't produce that many of it, which is unfortunate. But yeah, let's we looked at the interior. Yep, as you could see, pretty much all standard, nothing fancy going on here. It has the Alcantara and leather seats, not my favorite seats, but not the worst things in the world. I'd say because it only has 12,600 miles and they're asking 62, I'd be comfortable going up to around $54,000 for this car. 54 would be great. That is like the ultimate. Like 54 grand for this would be really good in the long run. I think you definitely get good value out of that in terms of having wide body manual in a nice color. You know, like, people are going to give you your props. It's going to be worth it. If that's what you want. I don't know how exactly what people value in cars, but that's what I think is a big part of it, is how people receive the car. Like, a car can be, you know, a terrible car like the Dodge in terms of just on paper and it's the build, but if it makes people happy and it, you know, makes people excited, that's a big thing about the car. And that's a big reason why I say, when I make that comparison between a 720S and a GT3, a 992 GT3, I think the 720S gets people more excited, so it's more valuable to me. I like seeing those reactions from people. Yeah, 720S excites everybody. 911 GT3 impresses and excites nerds. So yeah, so the Dodge will disintegrate in years. I'm telling you, man, like, there's so many problems with these high mile Hellcats. Hey, thank you, DJ Inferno. Shout out to you, man, showing support in the chat. We got DJ Inferno here in the building. Yeah, that Dodge will disintegrate. You're right. I'm talking about like this, the sale value of this car in 50 years, but will it even exist in 50 years? Probably not. It'll probably get crashed by then, or yeah, disintegrated just from the quality. Yeah, that is funny. Will it even be here in 50 years? Oh, y'all, go ahead and like the video. I forgot to even say that. We've been getting some good likes recently, so I haven't even been remembering to say like the video, but don't forget to like the video. This video is long right now. I'm at an hour and a half. Holy crap, I'm not even done. 2-hour stream today. Different. I'm evolving, guys. We're talking more in the chat, so it's good. It's a good thing. Moving on to our next example, we have a Destroyer Gray. This one also has a double snorkel. It's 2019 SRT Hellcat wide body. Let's see the interior spec. On the inside, we can see it is a standard black leather with the automatic transmission. Very standardly spec, nothing too fancy going around, nothing too fancy going on here. Standard color for the seat belts. It has a sunroof though, so it has that option, which is pretty cool. Kind of a rare option on these. A lot of people just opted out of that. Yeah. Let's see. Oops, I did not mean to make that bigger, but we'll scroll through. No, I thought I was gonna scroll down like this. Anyway. Not much to see here besides the fact that it is a gray on black car. Very clean, very nice color actually. You know, the Nardo gray is kind of getting overplayed, but it looks good, especially on a car like this. Yeah, so GMC said, I heard your credit score goes down 30% lower than the average if you buy from a dealership in lower income areas. Yeah, it's another thing which is crazy. I mean, I don't know about that, but it sounds like it could make sense. Like if they see that you're buying a car from a bad dealership, and that means you couldn't go to a nicer dealership, which means that, is your credit that great? Is your situation that great? Should we rank you as a good standing person if you can't even afford to go to a nice dealership? I've never heard of that, but it makes sense in that way. I'd say that what's the big scam is that when you apply for financing, never apply for financing through a dealership. First of all, when you get it, it's going to be a scam. And then second of all, they put an inquiry on your, they put so many inquiries because they're shopping around for financing. And it's, that's what I was talking about. I was talking about how dealerships will shop around your financing deal to like 5 people and put 5 inquiries on your sheet, on your credit score. And that's what happened to me. I had to fight to get them off. I'm like, look, man, I didn't even get that loan. I was like, I'm not, because I was shopping around because I just wanted to see firsthand, because the dealership was kind of this like, basically I was shopping for a 2009 BMW M6 and it was at this like hole in the wall dealership and I didn't have enough cash to pay for it. So it was out of state and I was like, let me just ask the dealership about financing. Rookie mistake on my part. Should never do that. I have a credit union. I'm part of multiple credit unions. I don't know why I didn't go to them first. I just asked them because I thought it would be like interesting. And they just put a whole bunch of inquiries on my credit report, and all the offers I got were ridiculous. Like my credit's not bad. Why would they get, like, all their APRs were like 20+%, and my credit's like it's like 700. Like, what? It's not the best credit, but it's 700. Like, why am I paying 20% interest on this car? But what ended up happening was I never got the car because it kept misfiring. Like they couldn't figure out the misfire. And I was like trying to tell them, because, you know, I had the BMW, I had a V10 M6 before. I knew exactly what was wrong with the car. I was trying to explain it, but these people are like generic, like they sell like minivans and Accords. And so they weren't really getting it. They were like, yeah, we're going to call like a BMW specialist, blah, blah, blah. And I was trying to explain to them, like, it could be this and that and this. They never got it fixed. I don't know if they just sold it to someone else who wanted it and who was more local and got it for a cheaper price. But anyway, forget that car. I'm going to get another one, but that wasn't it. Definitely didn't want those problems. Anyway, this one, 60 grand for a 18,000 mile 2019 car. So it's one of the newer examples. I'd say 60 grand is a pretty okay price. They're not too far off, but because it is still an automatic and it has 18,000 miles, I'd be willing to go up to $52,000. Actually, no. Because it has 18,000 miles and they want 60 grand for it, and it's 2019, I'd be willing to go up to $50,000. I wouldn't go up to 52. No, 52. Yeah, I would go up a little bit higher if it was manual, maybe to like 54. Simply because it's a newer model year than the last one, but 50 grand for an automatic. And here we have a 2020 Dodge Charger wide body. As we can see, it is in indigo blue. Yeah, still automatic. That one was still an automatic. As I mentioned, very rare to find the wide bodies in manual. Most of them came in automatic, but don't knock. How can you handle it manually? What? I'm not sure what you mean by that, but don't knock the automatic. It's a really good transmission. I highly recommend it, actually. It's like super good. It's like very, very good. Like when you drive a Hellcat with an automatic, you're like, wow, this feels like almost like a dual clutch. It rev matches when you downshift. It's great. It does everything you want and it's smooth off the line. It's not jittery or anything. But back to this one, we have an indigo blue Charger. How can I handle it manually? The torque? I mean, like, honestly, the manual Charger doesn't really feel that much crazier than any other high horsepower manual car. Okay, yeah, okay, good. Anyway, so here we have the wide body Charger on these wheels. These are the other wheels. These are the ones I don't like. They're not the devil wheels. They're like just another style of wide body wheels. But what makes this car special, on top of having the indigo blue and the orange calipers, is the devil's interior, or demonic interior, devil's demonic interior, something like that. The red interior. Super, super crazy colorway this is. Look, blue on red. Like, this is a crazy example. I think it's a really good spec, but it's very polarizing. But I do think that polarizing specs do command some sort of value because they're rare, and they make like that green one. It's not as polarizing as this one because people actually like this. The green one, probably most people aren't gonna like it as much, but this one is actually like you could be one or the other. That makes sense. So this one has sunroof, has the red seats, a red interior. Other than that, you know, it's a Hellcat, has pretty much everything else. It's wide body. They want $70,000 for this car, and it has 17,000 miles. It's a 2020, 17,000 miles, but I would never pay 70 grand for this. I mentioned before that I'd pay 60 grand for this one, and it has 21,000 miles. So this one, I think is a little bit nicer spec than that one. So, and I said I didn't want to pay over 60 grand, but for this one, I pay $61,000. And then finally, let's move on to Car Gurus, the final place we look at cars. Hey, shout out to the 6 people that are still here. It has been an hour and a half. If you haven't said anything in the chat, say what's up. I'd like to meet everyone who watches this. So here we have a yellow example. Do they say what the color is in terms of what color yellow? I actually want to know what's the color name for yellow. Oh. So it's not on here. Interesting. But it is Oh, it's a narrow body. All right, we'll go to the 16 one. I'm really curious about the color. They actually want to let us know. That'd be nice. Oh, wow. Okay, so they give you a color sheet without any examples. Perfect. It's crazy that they would do that. Like, am I tripping? Like, why would they write out color names? That is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Sorry, that is really stupid, especially when you have color names that like they don't have the exact color. Like you have Jazz Blue Pearl. What does that mean? Is it like a dark blue? Is it like a purple? Like it should be like Bullet Silver Metallic silver, Ivory Tricoat Pearl, like pearlescent white, something like that, like bright white, like a glossy white, you know, pitch black. Obviously some of these you can understand, but I would like to see some samples. Like that's the whole point. Anyway, so I don't know what color this is. I don't know why it's yellow. I haven't seen a yellow Charger in terms of from the factory, but it is all yellow, and it has the sepia interior, my favorite interior. This combo again is pretty polarizing like the last one. I hope to God that it is factory paint, but I mean it looks like it's factory paint. The door jambs are painted and everything, so I don't see why it shouldn't be, but I just didn't see it on the factory or on the brochure itself, so we're just gonna assume it's factory paint for now. Interior, nothing too special besides the sepia interior, the Laguna leather sepia. We also have the sunroof and the black roof and the black hood option. They want $48,900 for this, so $49,000 they're asking for this. It's a 2017 with 64,000 miles. I get it, it's a nice spec. It has a sepia interior, which is very desirable, but no, 49 grand for a car with almost 70,000 miles, and it's a Dodge. Like I'd be around being 64 grand, but having a cool spec, a unique spec, I'd be more around like the $38,000 mark for something like this. It had to be in the 30s. It couldn't be in the 40s. It's not even wide body. I mean, granted, it is a Charger, so the Chargers do command a higher price for their wide bodies than the Challengers than I really would like to pay for, but I would never pay almost 50 grand for a narrow body with almost 70,000 miles. That's insane. Moving on to our next, oh wait. Whoa. Oh, okay. I, for some reason, duplicated the tab. Anyway, moving on to our next ad, we have a 2018. This is going to be a Challenger wide body with the orange calipers. The car is going to be in all black. This is literally my favorite spec of the Challenger. All black, wide body with this looks cool. This color accent, the brake caliper color matches the amber reflectors. That's a pretty cool touch because you know, it's like usually people black out the amber reflectors, but this one actually matches up pretty cool. I really like the way this looks, especially with this the spoiler up here, the rear window spoiler too, and just the overall stance. It looks like it's stock stance, but yeah, this thing, like, literally one of the best looking cars. Like, the side profile looks so mean. Like, this is literally the best one. Black on black, wide body. If only it was a manual. My ultimate dream is a black on black, or black on the sepia with the brown interior, wide body with these wheels in a manual. That's literally the best spec. Couldn't even find one, but I know it's out there somewhere and someone's living their dream, my dream. But yeah, I'd say for this one, let's see what they have to say first. Thanks for this wonderful and descriptive description that I do not want to read. Scrolling back up, let's just look at these. Let's look at that. Look how mean that looks. It's such a good car. It has Harman Kardon as well, so pretty much fully loaded. Doesn't have a sunroof, it looks like, but we don't really need a sunroof. It's not necessary. Gosh, this view right here, that is one of the best views of a wide body Challenger. The front end, it looks so mean. Anyway, see, we can see the Brumbos with the orange calipers. This was an option as well. And on the interior, we're working with the totally black leather seats. Not too bad. Nothing too fancy, but not too bad either. Just a triple black car. Superb spec, and they know it. This already is high priced from the jump. It has 12,000 miles. It is a 2018, and they want $64,000 for it. You know, for the right person, I bet they would pay that much for it simply because the spec is insane. I'd say for me, I am the right person, but I'm the wrong person because I wouldn't pay that. But I do like this spec. I would be willing to go for a 2018 with 12,000 miles. Actually, hold on. Yeah, I was going to go up the price for that, but for this one, yeah, this one's not even a manual, and they price it the same as a manual. What happened? I don't know what I didn't say. What do you say? I don't know what I said. My bad, Jacob. I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, for this one, I said the automatic, or I said the manual one with the same amount of miles, same year, but manual. I'd say I pay like 54,000 or something like that, or 56, one of those two. For this one, I'd have to only pay 53. I'd have to go a little bit lower. It is the perfect spec, but it's not manual, so the manual in my head is going to hold a little bit higher value, but the spec, all good. The spec on this one, minus the automatic transmission, is literally as good as it's going to get. And minus the seats too, but the seats aren't that big of a deal. You do have the black leather. Moving on to our next one, we have another silver car, but or Nardo gray-ish. I don't know what they call it. Nardo gray. I'll call it Nardo gray. But you can see it has the black hood as well as the black roof. This was a package on the 2020 cars. Let's look and see what it's called, because I can't really remember what it's called. And I would like to get that name. Challenger 2020. The package is here at the bottom somewhere. I remember reading it. It's like the blackout package. We read it already. Painted satin graphics. Yep, that includes the painted satin graphics package. So it has satin hood, satin roof, satin emblems. Even though the emblems don't look satin. I don't know what to tell you about that. It's black roof, black hood with the dual snorkel. Let's look at the interior spec. You can see it's the Alcantara and leather combo. Well, this is gonna be this is the actual leather and Alcantara combo. The other one is like, there's another one where it's like just Alcantara strip right here, but this one actually has the Alcantara middle insert. So Alcantara leather seats. You can see it's on the SRT wheels. Not either of the ones that we were looking at. These are some different wheels. These do look like they come off of a narrow body car. You'd have to check the widths to make sure. The wide body wheels are super wide, 11 inches. So this one, 68 grand, 2020 though. So it's the last model you were looking at, the newest one. It has 17,900 miles, 18,000 miles. I say because it's a 2020, with that many miles. So it's a little bit more than like 2019s and 18s we were looking at. So it's a little bit high miles for being a 2020, and they're asking 70 grand. I don't believe it's worth 70 grand. I think that this is possibly worth around $58,000. And that's you know, obviously they didn't say anything about any build or anything aftermarket. Although it does look like they did some aftermarket stuff. There's a rear spoiler on there that's not stock. I don't know if this hood stuff is stock because the emblems aren't black, so I'm not too sure. You also see it as a diffuser as well, so I'm not sure if they were pricing that into this. But never price in mods when you're trying to buy a car. They don't add any value unless they do to you, but you can't let them know that, or else you're gonna lose them out on a deal. Anyway, moving on to our last examples. This is gonna be an F8 green Challenger. We can see it also has the sepia interior. This is a really good spec. This is like an army spec. I don't know what to call it, but very rugged looking, very foresty, very naturous. Just making up words here, but yeah, we can see it's on my favorite wheels, black devil wheels. Interior is my favorite interior, sepia. The green, you know, I could take it or leave it, but it does look pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, seeing F8 green Challengers in person, they look really cool in person because they're not that popular of a color, especially with this. It's almost like the British Racing green on brown. This is kind of one of my favorite specs, but the green is just a little bit off. I need it to be more dark. If it was a darker green, like a forest green, and not this kind of like garbage green, like that would literally be the one to have. This one, I could still have it. I think I'm not even going to say it doesn't look good. It looks really good. This combination just looks luxurious in ways that other Challengers don't. And so this is what I'm talking about in terms of how you should spec a car, because little changes like just having a good combo can really lead to a good sales price and good like interest in the car when it comes to selling it. This one has 10,000 miles. It's a 2018, and they're asking 72.5. So you see, they're asking a lot of money for a 2018, especially when it has 10,000 miles. I mean, 10,000 obviously is not high, but it's still a lot of money. 72.5. We were paying, saying we were going to pay in the 50s for other 2018s, and those were manuals. So this one being a 72 grand, he knows what he has in terms of the color combo, and this is what I'm talking about. When you have a color combo like this, you can start off way higher because, yeah, people just like they see that it's a rare thing. If you have something that no one else has, you can name your price. 72.5, I'd say because it has a rare color combo, I don't think it's worth that much, obviously. I think for me, it is a 2018 with low miles, so I'd be willing to go up to 60 grand for this car, even though it's an automatic. 60 grand for this car, green, F8 green on sepia. Ooh, that's a good question. Clean whips, I will get to that right after I finish this last ad, and we're gonna go through all that. And then lastly, we have a 2020 Dodge Charger wide body. This is going to be a Daytona car. Very top of the line spec. Hey, shout out to you, Fire Cycle. I haven't seen you in a minute, man. Shout out to Fire Cycle. Hope you're doing good, bro. Yeah, we're gonna talk about all three right after I finish this one. This one obviously doesn't really fit the bill. It's gonna be a Daytona car. They are rare. They were like an anniversary edition, and they came with, you know, this Daytona seats and a suede steering wheel, and they also came with these stripes going over the trunk, which look pretty cool. This car just looks really good. I think this has a really good stance. Like people, like I've always thought the Challengers were better looking than the Chargers, but when I see a car like this that stands out perfectly, the Chargers look so good. Chargers look amazing. You can see it's Daytona. You can see the script right here on the dash. As I mentioned, it has unique seats. So this is kind of just like a collector's item. It doesn't really have any more power. Or, you know, I don't want to say that because I don't know exactly how much power this has. But yeah, same power, it looks like. Exactly. This car looks amazing, Jacob. Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. But yeah, look at the price. 85 grand. 85 grand. It is a 2020. First model year of the wide body for the Challenger, obviously, but it's a special package, so they're kind of holding on to it, and you know, it is what it is. I'd say for being a Daytona Charger and opposed to just a standard one, you know, you could add maybe $4,000 or $5,000. That's all I would add. So for me, being a 2020, it has only 7,000 miles. Maybe add a little bit to that for that reason. I'd be around $66,000 for this car. Really wouldn't want to go higher than that. Granted, it's a special edition, but 66 grand, we're talking about a Dodge here. All right. So that wraps up the ads. I hope you guys got a good look at what you're going to see on the market. One thing that you didn't really see here, because I did a whole lot of filtering out on my end, was looking at the salvage and rebuilt title cars. I'd say on Facebook, 80% of these are salvage titles. They're rebuilt, even though the prices are going to be still high, which is insane. Like, people are just going crazy with these cars. There's so much hype around them, and it's kind of just like pushing the prices up. They can't fall because of the hype. As soon as the prices fall on these, everyone buys them. Like, they're going to get scooped up as soon as there's a deal on these, because everyone's not only looking to get a really good experience of a car, but they're also trying to flip it. You know, people are like, oh, I get a good deal on a Hellcat. I know, because I know that I wanted the Hellcat. I know that someone else is going to want this Hellcat. So that's I don't even know what else. I do that a lot, man. I've been losing my train of thought recently. I gotta get it together. Anyway, yeah, I'd say I don't know what I was saying. Holy crap! One of you guys can remind me. That's embarrassing. Yeah, Hellcats. I think overall, though, even though I talk a lot of crap about the value and the build quality of a Dodge Hellcat, I'll say this time and time again. It's my favorite muscle car. I love this car. Like, every time I see one, it makes me happy. Like, they just excite me so much for some reason, and I don't know why. I think it's simply the fact that it has to do with like the ethos of Dodge in my mind. Like, they're holding out, you know, like obviously they're getting rid of it now. The Challenger and Charger are gone, but they held out the longest with this big, insane behemoth of a vehicle. They held out. They kept producing it over a decade after people stopped making cars like that. They're old school. They also look at the ads for Dodge. Like, you'll see people doing donuts and drifting in their ads. They know their customer base. That's why I like Dodge so much. They're cool. Like, everyone else wants to be uptight and like little suits, you know, like they're all like, oh, I work at Ford, oh, I'm Chevy. You know, Dodge people are like the type of people you see like in the shop. Like, those are Dodge people. Everyone else is like in the building. Like, but that's why I see Dodge. That's why I like Dodge. Plus, they put like the Hellcat engine in so many things, like SUVs. Like, what other company did that? Like, what would Chevy ever put a Corvette engine in an SUV? Would they put a Z06 engine in an SUV? Would they even put an LSA in an SUV? Did they? You tell me. I can't think of any SUVs that had an LSA in it. Now, obviously, you see the CTS-V has one, but this is recently. Like, these cars were over a decade old at this point. Well, almost. Obviously, I'm trying to think. Did Ford do anything? Because now I'm thinking like Chevy did put their high power engine in the Cadillac V, but did it get put in anything else? I don't know. I was talking to myself at this point. Anyway, yep, the Escalade V is all I can think of. Yeah, I'd say for this, you know, if you really want a Hellcat, I don't blame you, right? First of all, I don't blame you. A lot of people are going to want these. They're amazing cars. But oh yeah, I was talking about the rate of them being rebuilt and crashed. Most of these cars are rebuilt title online. Every single one you find online, it's going to have like a 75% chance of it being rebuilt. If they don't say it immediately, then you probably can assume it's rebuilt. Also, looking at the cars, I emphasized this in the beginning, but be aware of what years the wide bodies came out from the factory. They came out in 2020 for the Charger and 2018 for the Challenger. You'll see a ton of models 2015 and up, like all Hellcat models. You see 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019 Chargers with wide bodies. You're like, oh sweet, I'm gonna get a better deal because, you know, it's still a 19. But yeah, rebuilt cars are a big thing in the United States. Now that I think about it, is it a big thing in other countries? Because I feel like a lot of countries are really strict with their like their motoring rules and regulations for conditions of cars on the road. In America, you can get anything on the road, really. But yeah, a lot of them are going to be rebuilt. Be very careful when you're buying these cars, especially private party. You have a high likelihood of getting scammed, especially, I mean, depending on the type of person you are. Like, if you are more like a victim person, you know, person that could be considered a victim, like you're not, I don't want to get into this like really, but you're not, you know, you look like the type of person that can be taken advantage of. Expect this type of person who drives this car to do that to you. So be very careful when you're buying cars like these. Always meet at safe places. I just can't stress enough like how much bad stuff has gone down over the transactions of Hellcats. How many people have like had their lives put in danger because of these cars. So yeah, you really don't want to be, you want to be dealing with very stand-up people in terms of like make sure that the person you're dealing with isn't a scammer. I don't know how you're going to do that, but you just have to be on your P's and Q's when you're shopping for these. Same thing with if you're trying to sell one. I'm not sure if anyone looking at this video is selling their Hellcat, because they probably would already know everything about it. But selling one of these is also difficult because people are trying to rob you for the car. So GMC asked, final thought on all three. Reviewed Camaro, Mustang, and the Dodge cars. I rank them like this. For me, it goes, oh man, that's actually hard, because I was thinking about them in one order, but then in another thing so overall, in my opinion, what I personally would own is a Hellcat. What I think is the best car out of the three is the Camaro ZL1. The Mustang is good. The Mustang has a really good engine in the 1314 GT500 that is comparable. It is able to make up for what it lacks when compared to the lesser horsepower Camaro ZL1. The Camaro obviously handles better, but the Mustang has more power. We're talking about the 660 something horsepower 1314 GT500s compared to all the ZL1s with the LSA. They're almost 80 horsepower difference, but I do believe that the Camaro is a better car. It handles a lot better. They pretty much do the same thing around the track, simply because the Camaro handles a lot better. It makes up for the lack of power. And I also think the Camaro ZL1 looks a little bit cooler than the Mustang, but that's all subjective. However, on top is going to always be the Challenger. It looks the best. It sounds, it's equally up there with the LSA in my opinion. And it has the most power, 707 horsepower, such a flex. And if we're gonna be honest, like, I don't know, it might not matter to you, and it's not the biggest deal, but girls love Hellcats. Like, girls love Hellcats. Like, you should have seen what girls would do, or like how girls would act when guys pull up in a Hellcat. Like in Miami, I'm like, it's a Hellcat. Like, you see, like in girls' minds, I'm just talking about my experience living in Miami. In girls' minds, a Hellcat is as cool as a Lamborghini. Like, that's like, I don't know, maybe it's like their appeal to, like, thug nature, but that's a whole other different topic. But yeah, the Hellcat is just a mean looking car and girls love it. So if that matters to you, then just know this: if girls love it, even more guys will love it. So that's how you should think about it. To keep more than 5 years, yeah, definitely this car. I do think that this car is a keeper. Like, if I were to get a Hellcat, it would be my Hellcat forever, because this car has been discontinued. They don't make the Hellcat anymore. This is literally going to be like a staple of automotive history forever. The Hellcat is going to be known. So yeah, I say keep it if you have the money, obviously, or if you if you actually like the car like I do. A lot of people, they'll probably drive it around and find it a little bit boring. Some people like tech more. Some people like performance more. Some people like handling more. I like experience more. I like the collective experience of not only what I feel about the car, but what other people feel about the car. So where is my mechanic? I am the mechanic. I am the warranty. If you didn't know, like, I don't really take my car to the shop. Like, I fix it all myself. I've done everything. Like, I worked in a diesel shop for 2 years. I worked on fleet buses. We did everything from oil changes to engine swaps. I can do all that stuff. I'm not too especially on these older cars. The newer electric cars, I'm not gonna say I know how to fix like a hybrid system. Don't know how to do any of that. But if it's mechanical like this, like, yeah, this is me all day. It's not really that difficult, especially with Dodge, because Dodge, as I mentioned before, is such an old school brand. Like, most of their stuff is very simple, and that's some of the appeal, actually, is the simplicity of the car itself. So yeah, I say Dodge. The thing is, though, I actually have a 1966 Mustang. It's been in the family since it was new. My uncle actually picked it up from the factory. He paid $4,000 for it. It's red. It's a 3-speed 289. It's not a fastback. It's the coupe, the slant back. I don't know what they call it. The coupe. It's the notchback. That's what it's called. Notchback, not the fastback. It's a notchback. It's a 1966 in candy apple red. So in my mind, my family is a Ford family. We are Mustang people, but I guess the Mustang, like, it doesn't do it for me. I like the Hellcat way better. The Mustang is cool, but as I always said, the Mustang is a pony car. This is a muscle car. A pony car is like a European version of a muscle car. It's smaller, it's tighter, it's a little bit more sporty, a little bit able to turn without, sliding everywhere. It handles well. It doesn't weigh as much. That's kind of what a pony car is. European version of a muscle car. That's what I say it as. This one's a true muscle car. So I suppose that's how I justify liking both Mustangs and Challengers. But yeah, do you guys have any questions? I think I'm gonna wrap it up. I got some things I gotta do. It's past 5, so I'm running a little bit late. But yeah, if you guys have anything, you can just say it real quick. If not, I'm gonna head out and I'm gonna see you guys tomorrow. Yeah, pony cars are popular. That's why I heard, like, I'm pretty sure like Mustangs are popular, right? Like I see them a lot in Europe with their clear tail lights. Actually, I have my schedule right here, so I'm going to okay. Yep. So tomorrow, obviously we did the big 3 in American cars this week, but I want to keep it kind of you know, like in this kind of realm, like hot rod type of deal, like muscle car, but I kind of ran out of American cars. So tomorrow we're going to be doing the Jag F-Type, specifically the supercharged V8 version, because that one's amazing. Such an underrated car. In fact, I'm going to do a video about a bunch of underrated cars that really don't seem to be getting enough press. I'd say the Jaguar F-Type is going to be one in a few years. Those are depreciating like crazy. You barely see them, but they're really good for the value. The only problem, in my opinion, is the interior looks a little dead. Like it doesn't look that exciting, but that's not a really big deal. You have a supercharged 5-liter V8 in this tiny little car. So what else can I think of that's a really good deal? You know, I was thinking about this earlier, but I can't think of any on the top of my head. But I mean, there's a ton out there. Gosh, there was one that like I really liked, and I did a video on it. I don't even know which one it is. Yeah, I can't tell you. My brain is fried right now, talking for 2 hours straight. This is a record for me. But if you guys don't have any more questions, don't forget to join the Discord. The link is in the description. Just hit it, join the Discord, introduce yourself. I'll say what's up in there. I promise we're gonna get the Discord popping. Shout out to Karthik. He's gonna help me out with the channel. And yeah, we're gonna be making big moves. We're gonna be doing a lot more clips. We're gonna clip up this show for you because I know a lot of people don't have the time, especially 2 hours. This is crazy. We're gonna clip up the show. We're gonna put them on a separate channel. We're gonna call it On-Worn Cars Clips, and then we're gonna move on from there. A lot of people are gonna probably find more value in that channel than this one, but I actually like live streaming because not only do I like talking to you guys, that's the main part of it, but I'm gonna be honest. Another real reason why I wanted to live stream was because I wanted to improve my speaking. I wanted to be a better speaker. I wanted to be better at coming up with words on the fly. And then I always could see, you know, if you ever watched a live streamer and over time they improve so much. Like you'll see the first live stream, they'll be looking like idiots, and then present day they look like a natural in front of the camera. I really wanted to be like that. It's just something that I was always thought about. I'm like how do they look so natural in front of the camera? And it's by practice. So that's a big reason why I'm doing this every day, is not only do I practice my speaking, and I practice being able to just speak, like public speaking in general. Obviously it's not public speaking, but it kind of is. It's not with the pressure, but there is people here. I'd say that another reason why I did it was we'll just keep it at that. I wanted to improve my overall like presence, you know, be able to speak, be able to carry conversations. Also, I wanted to learn about cars because I know, like, I had all these thoughts in my cars, thoughts in my head about cars, right? But I never really put them down on paper, and I would forget different facts and everything. And having all this stuff organized is really cool, and I think I'd be able to do something with this information in the future. So yeah, man, shout out to everyone who showed up today. That is it for today. I will see you guys again tomorrow with the Jaguar F-Type review. Leave a comment down below if I should start streaming at 3 or if I should go back to streaming at noon, because I really don't know which is better for the people who want to watch this or who want to participate, because I'll do either or. Obviously streaming at 3 is a little bit harder because it kind of compresses my evening and I have to move everything into the beginning of the day, but I can do whatever works best for the viewers. And yeah, so let me know in the description. Hey, shout out to you, Clean Whips. I appreciate it. Oops, wrong one. But yeah, I will see you guys again tomorrow. And as always, have a good one. Peace. Be safe.